Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming along to my little talk. Hopefully you'll get a few little micro nuggets of stuff to take away from this. So my name is Helen Muller. I started the engagement engine with my co-founder, Chris Sharman. Some of you may know him. His speciality is in kids' activities. Started it in June just this year, and we started it because we were working together for a couple of years, working with David Lloyd. And we were over in the European clubs, and what we kind of noticed, when any club we went into, you kind of pick up a vibe, don't you? When you go into a gym or you go into a club, you pick up a vibe straight away from the culture of the team. We were doing a lot of training and development and trying to really get the guys in these clubs to sort of adhere to our ways of working. And what we realised quite quickly on is that when you walk into that culture of the team where it just works and the magic is there, you know you're not wasting your time. You know you're there, you got up at 4 a.m, got on the flight from Heathrow, and you land in Hamburg, drive to a club, do a bit of training, and sometimes you think, why did I even do this? Because you don't think that the team's actually going to take it away, and then sometimes you just walk in and you just get the feeling that that culture of that club is really going to make things happen. And then, no surprise, you look at the P&L, you look at all the other NPS scores, etc., and you go, that works, or that tracks. So we've started this business to really look at customer-facing teams, really, and taking a lot of experiences that we've got ourselves from working. Chris has worked for Sporter and lots of other companies like that, and obviously I was with David Lloyd for 16 and a half years. I know I don't look old enough, but I am. And before that, a lot of sort of hotels and events and food and beverage operations. So it's all about service, really. So we're going to talk about how to ignite your teams and create raving fans. So, does anybody know who these legends are? Bit of a clue on the walk-on song.
Is that the Travelling Wilburys?
It's the Travelling Wilburys. Absolutely. Do you know who the Travelling Wilburys are? Of course you don't, because you're far too young, darling. Of course you don't. Do you know who was in the Travelling Wilburys? The blonde one.
Tom Petty. I know who that is.
Jeff Lynne and Bob Dylan. Big names, right? Really big egos who are part of the Travelling Wilburys. But what was it about this supergroup that was so special? Was that all of these fabulous people with their brilliant individual skills all came together to form this amazing supergroup. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen the show Billions. Seen the show Billions? You and me, we're on a cultural wavelength, aren't we, darling? So in the show Billions, it's a venture capitalist sort of banking kind of thing, and the guy that runs it, he says to this poor guy who's got a very unfortunate look about him, he says, you know what? You are not a Wilbury. Only certain people could be a Wilbury. Wags, he's a Wilbury. These people are Wilburys, but some people just aren't Wilburys. So they used to have a competition to see who could get into the Wilburys, and he would say things like, Richard Dreyfuss, fantastic actor, never a Wilbury. Yeah? Jack Nicholson, he's a Wilbury, okay? So you've got certain people in life who just make the Wilbury team. And then they take their individual talents, they leave their egos outside, they come together, and those creative talents come together to form an absolute supergroup. So those are those legends there. Have you ever worked for a team that you would think are a team of Wilburys? Have you ever been in a group, in a supergroup, where you just think, we've just got it, this team is really fantastic? And when you feel it, it really feels great, doesn't it? So that's what I call creating lightning in a bottle. So I was saying earlier, I was with David Lloyd 16 and a half years. So I started in a club. I was the 9th general manager in 5 years of the club being opened. So they're probably looking, here we go again. How long is this one going to last? We were at the bottom of every single league table going. Hello.
Sorry.
Don't apologise, it's all right.
It was the wrong one.
I just want to ask you a question. Do you know who these are? No, they don't. See, they're far too...
Let's go Bee Gees for a minute. And then
Bee Gees.
Terrible, yeah.
Do you know who these are, John?
Status Quo.
Status Quo. Close, but literally no cigar. It's the Travelling Wilburys.
Oh, of course it is.
It's the Travelling Wilburys. It's the Travelling Wilburys. A favourite of your band. Yeah, I know. So what we're saying is the Travelling Wilburys are a supergroup of amazing individuals You might recognise Bob Dylan there. Anybody? Anybody know Bob Dylan? Still nothing. Still nothing. I'm going to obviously change the slide for next time for the Gen Zs and the younger millennials amongst us. But what we're saying is about these amazing individuals with fantastic individual talents come together to form a supergroup. And that's how we get an amazing team. Come on in. Any ideas? Anybody? Anybody? I'm definitely going to have to change this slide. So we're creating lightning in a bottle. So John and I worked for the same company, and I was just saying, in fact, we were in the same region, weren't we? David Lloyd Oxford, I arrived, I was the 9th general manager in 5 years of it being open. We're at the bottom of every single league table going. In fact, you were at the top of every single league table going, weren't you at the time, in Ipswich?
Things change.
Yeah, that's right. But I walked into that club, and so many people looked sad and dejected and fed up with life. They just felt really, really wretched. But what I did see is I saw some fantastic individuals in that team. And what I recognised was that I needed to create the bottle so that they could create the lightning. So within that team of individuals, I had some of the best PTs I've ever met. I had some of the best sales teams that I've ever met. F&B, DL Kids, they were all a fantastic team of people. And the upshot was that after the first year and a half of being there, we were nominated for Club of the Year. Yay! So after a very, very short space of time, I got that team to work upon what our vision and our values were. And we did it by being a fantastic team. Has anybody heard of Patrick Lencioni? So what's the bottom of the pyramid of great teams? Can you remember? Yeah, at the bottom, trust. So the first thing that you create in any great team is trust. Super important. So what does a team look like that doesn't have trust? The sort of team that doesn't have trust is where you have the meeting after the meeting. The GM's had a meeting and everyone sat around going, oh yeah, he's right. And then they leave and they go into the canteen and say, well, that was a load of old crap, wasn't it? So you have the meeting after the meeting. You set up separate WhatsApp groups. And you start to talk about each other behind their backs. You're smiling.
Yeah.
Resonates?
Resonates, it's not happening to me though.
Okay. So you create trust by creating a culture where gossip just isn't acceptable. If you've got something to say, let's say it, let's have it now. Because once you've got the trust of your team, you then move on to the next stage of Patrick Lencioni's team of functional teams, which is conflict. Now, you might think conflict, that doesn't sound like a very nice thing, but actually through conflict, you can thrash it out. And if you trust each other, you can say really what's on your mind. Really, I don't think that's a great idea. Does anybody know what the hippo effect is? Highest paid person's opinion. So the person who sat at the table chairing the meeting saying, oh, I think we're going to do it like this. I think it's going to be like that. And everyone, oh, yes, that's a really good idea. Because he's the highest paid person in the room. Not because necessarily it's a really good thing, good idea that they're coming out with. So after trust, you then get you get conflict, you get everything out in the open, and you thrash it all out, and then you get commitment from your team. Now everybody has had their thing to say; they're all committed to the goal. You then get accountability with the team. So now people know exactly what they're having to do. Everybody's accountable, and then you focus on the results, and that's at the top of Patrick Lencioni's pyramid of trust. So by doing that and going into any team. The biggest takeaway that I could say to you there is build that trust first with your people, and everything else flows from there. So that's you're creating lightning in a bottle. Now, some of you are gym owners, club owners. Yep, hands up if you're actually owning. Brilliant. Managers of clubs, heads of department, managers of your own lives. You're all doing that, right? Okay. So those of you that have businesses, do you have a very, very clear vision? Do you have a very, very clear idea of where it is you want to go as a business? And can you articulate it? Would you want to share what yours is? You were saying earlier? To be the best gym in the UK. Best independent gym in the UK. So you guys have got to take him down a little bit later. So anybody else got any clear vision as to what they...
To be the second best.
I like it. I like it. So it's if you don't know where you're going, then how do you know when you got there? Okay. So from a vision perspective, it could be that you want to scale. You want to get to 35 independent gyms by 6 years or something. It could be that you want to grow your EBITDA. It could be that you want to get the best Google reviews. Whatever that vision could be, it's super important that you share it with your team early and often. There's a book called From Good to Great, Jim Collins. Again, I'm just standing here quoting books here. It's like checking into the library. But he talks about the Stockdale paradox. Have you heard of the Stockdale paradox? No? So a guy is Admiral Stockdale. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. And what he recognized was that those people that didn't face up to the brutal facts of the fact that they were prisoners of war and they had to get through it, the ones who thought, oh, we'll be out by Christmas, it'll be fine, they're the ones who failed. So if you do set your vision, and it's hard, it should be hard, but face up to those brutal facts. And then as a team, you can achieve that vision. So don't just sit on your hands and think, oh, it's all going to be okay. You actually have to do some hard work in order to get there. So create your vision, really, really super clear, communicate it really, really early, and remind people of it often in your business throughout the whole process. Now this is a little video here. Hopefully it's going to work.
If your company does not have a set of hastily developed instinctive values, then you might be mistaken for a business without a moral compass. Now, but values, companies love values, don't they? They're very, very important. So it's not surprising that there's quite a sophisticated technique that goes into determining what the values are for each individual company. Let's have a look at that process now. Step one, you get a facilitator to run an off-site workshop. Step two, you write down these 5 words. Is this feeling a little bit real for some people? I am starting to sense that. Okay, well let's chuck on. Step 3, you just put those words out hats. Okay. Step 4, pick out 5 words. Any 5 words will do. Any of those 5, pick them out. And then you write those words, the words that you've chosen, you put them on a website. Okay, you put them on your website, on the values page on your website. Maybe also to print them out, put them on a poster, you stick it up in the office kitchen, maybe next to the "Your Mum Doesn't Work Here" sign. And then you never ever speak about those values ever again.
Wait, so you don't do the values?
Do the values? No, of course you don't do the values, Charles. You just put them up on your website, on your values page. And then if someone ever accuses you of underpaying your employees or cutting down rainforests or mistakenly convicting 900 sub-postmasters for stealing, for example, then you just point to the values page on your website and you say, we're a values-led organisation and everything will be okay.
So the values don't reflect reality?
Oh, that's cute you think that, Charles. No, of course they don't reflect reality. They don't reflect reality. If they reflected reality, then the values of a company like Boeing would be not quite enough bolts. But that's not their values. That's not their values. Their values are, and I swear I'm not making this up, their actual values are safety, quality, integrity, transparency.
Well, James, in fairness, their planes are very transparent.
They do deliver on transparency. That is true.
Okay, so that's Wankonomics. I don't know if you've seen those guys before.
Then you might be mistaken for a hit business with.
Let's just move that on. So la 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 la. There we go. Yeah, Wankonomics. If you like that, they've got lots of good stuff like that. But does that resonate? When we've all worked for big companies, the one that I love, passion. It's always passion. I'm passionate about everything that I do. I'm so passionate. But truly, some of the values that the companies have got out there are actually really, really good. Do you guys have values that you want to share with the group? John, I know you're a big man of this. vision and values bit. Any that you...
We have 5 values. They're not the same 5.
They're not enough bolts, not enough members.
What do we have? Sparkle and smile.
Nice.
Right, so in simple terms, and that starts with a team, if even at the recruitment process, if someone comes in, we're looking for that sparkle and smile in the eyes, and that's a core value for us. We care. We genuinely care about the team and the members, so that's one of our core values. Small things matter.
Nice.
So again, that attention to detail of the member journey and just making a difference makes a huge difference to us. Oh fuck, now you're testing me.
I know, it's all right, John. I'll put you out your misery now. There's always one or two that slip you by.
We keep it simple. We're on the website.
They're on the website, and just above the poster next to the "Your mum doesn't work here."
We coach. Our business is coaching. Yeah. Our team's business is coaching. So cut the crap and just keep it simple. Allow them to coach. Just make sure they're the very best at what they do. So yeah, that's 4 of our 5. The other one there is no bullshit.
No bullshit. Like that. I like that a lot. That's ours. And what's so important is that those values do. I mean, I know that the guys there at Wankonomics were making fun of it, but so oftentimes you get these values and they don't live and breathe. But there's a couple up here that I've got that I like, that I pulled from different books, etc., and different companies are out there. I really like Make Their Day. I think that could be an internal or an external customer. I really like that. You go up and you think to yourself, right, today I'm going to make someone's day. And we're all in that business, right, in our industry. I like Choose Your Attitude. How many times do you see people with a face like a slapped arse working behind reception? You're like, what? It's your job. It's your job to smile. And often, if they do just pretend to smile and they bring a fantastic attitude, then actually, do you know what? It follows on, doesn't it? So I really, really like that one there as well. And things like Aspire. So we are always constantly learning nowadays. We are perennials. We're not millennials. We're constantly learning. So we're always aspiring. Everybody coming to their business that day, they want to aspire to be better today than they were yesterday, and so on. And there's one down there called Know My Number. And any of you that know the EOS principles of management, about everybody should know their number. So whether that be how many sales calls do I need to make today, and how many tours do I need to do, and how many sales do I need to convert? That's a number. But it could be that you're working in the kids camp, for example, and you know that you've got to get at least one referral on the Google review, and you've got to get at least one person to rebook. Whatever that number is, whatever that KPI is, for people to know their number from the top all the way down to throughout the whole of the business. So there we have your values. Once you've decided what your values are, you don't just stick them on the wall next to the "Your mother doesn't work here" sign. You have to live them and breathe them. Generation Z, the Gen Zs, are very purpose-driven and very values-driven. And we have to show that we are authentic as a business and really, really live and breathe them. Really lean into those values. And there you go. Right people, right seats, right bus. So I'm going to start with the bus. Have any of you ever been on the wrong bus? Professionally, I'm talking about, not obviously literally. Where you feel you're on the bus, you're working for an organisation, you think, this isn't serving me, I'm not sure if I want to be here. Has anybody felt like that sometimes? Yeah. And then you think to yourself, I need to get off the bus, because the longer I stay on this bus, the further away I'm going to be from my destination. So understanding that sometimes you as an individual, you may just not be the right cultural fit for an organisation. It's not you, and it's never about you being the wrong person. You just don't fit that culture. So when you find yourself on the wrong bus, my advice, which as a coach I shouldn't give advice, but my advice is get off that bus as quickly as you possibly can and find your people, find the right culture for you. Now, we're going to talk about the right seats as well. And sometimes when I'm started doing some consultancy work and I'm talking to small businesses, and I realise that there are some people, some seats on that bus that are no longer serving the business. Maybe it was a startup organisation, and perhaps people were really good in that startup phase, but that seat is now no longer needed. So what do I mean by that? So there was a company that had a director of spa and a spa manager as well. What the two of these people did that was different, I have literally no idea. Costing the company an enormous amount of money, but they'd kind of been brought on board. Nobody really knew what to do with them. They were really nice people, so we'll keep them, but they weren't necessarily on the right seats on the bus. Through having a bit of a conversation with the owner, it turned out that what they really needed was somebody to go out there and be more of a member communications sort of manager, go out there and really talk to the members and look at the comms process with their members. So we created a different role, gave the other person a promotion, and then the spa director became the commercial manager for the members. So sometimes it's about the seats not being quite right, and making sure that your business is fit for purpose, that everything that you're trying to do goes back to that vision and those values, that you've got the right seats who are actually turning the right dials for you. And then we've got the right people. And how do we know we've got the right people? How do we know that we've got the right people? And sometimes those people are just simply sitting in the wrong seats. Well, we do it through really good coaching. We do it through really good one-to-ones. If ever you get a resignation on your desk and you weren't expecting it, you haven't been leading your team right. You should never have a surprise on your desk and it finds out, oh, you're leaving? Why? Through a really effective and a great coaching culture within your business, you will always know where your people are headed and where they're going. If you've got the right ways of communication in terms of getting those KPIs out there, and we did this many sales and this much of income, that can be communicated in a different way. Those one-to-ones are about those individuals and how they feel and where they want to go in terms of their career. So when it comes to the right people, oftentimes we have a little bit of a drama about people, don't we? And we have what's called the drama triangle. And you've got the persecutor. I expected you to do better. You know, and then you've got the victim. Oh, but it wasn't my fault, it was everybody else. And then you've got the rescuer. It's okay, I'll do it all, I'll do it. And how many people want to sit in that rescuer part of the drama triangle? Most people, right? They think, I'll come in, I'll put my Superman cape on and I shall save the day and I shall rescue the situation. But we need to change those three dynamics within that drama triangle. The persecutor needs to become the challenger. I know that you've got it in you. You've got more to give. I know it and I see it. So you don't feel as if you're being persecuted. You feel like you're being trusted and valued. That victim, rather than feel like it's everybody else's fault, say to yourself, I'm the victim here. No, I'm not. I choose a different outcome to this situation. So that no longer be the victim. And then the rescuer becomes the coach. Understand that all of your people have got it within them to deliver. They've all got it within them to turn things round. So coach people rather than tell them. One-to-ones, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Should listen more than you actually speak. So that's it. Right people, right seats on the right bus. And when you are checking in with your team, you might have heard some of these expressions here. Quiet quitting. You've heard of that? No? Not heard of that? So that's where people kind of show up to work and do the absolute minimum. They've left. They've already left, actually. And you think they maybe were a really good person, but they're just sitting there quietly and they're coasting, they're cruising. They're not doing anything wrong, but they're not really doing anything right either. They're just sitting there and they're coasting down the hill. Quiet firing. As managers, as leaders, sometimes do we quietly fire people rather than have that conversation with them that's difficult to move them from being a non-performer to being better than they are that day. So we just think, if I ignore them and I don't ever speak to them, they'll just leave. And that's quiet firing. There's another book you might have heard of, Radical Candor. She talks about this guy called Gary who works for him. A lovely guy. Gets all the coffees in, everybody loves him. But his quality of work is absolutely shocking. So he's always late with deadlines, and when the work does come in, it's a bit rubbish. But everybody likes him to begin with. And then people start to see, well, Gary's getting away with murder. It starts to permeate throughout the whole of the team. So she takes Gary out to a coffee house, sits him down and says, Gary, I'm sorry, it's just not working. And he's like, but why? I thought I was so popular. I thought everybody liked me. well, we did like you, but your quality of work hasn't been good. And she now feels really, really dreadful. He gets up from the table, he kicks the chair away, and he just says, why did nobody tell me? Why did nobody tell me? So you've got to deal with people, not through just ignoring them, but by really being honest with them and saying, I believe in you. I know you can do better. Let me see if I can just help you with that, coach them. Then you've got career cushioning. Now, probably quite a few people can do that if they are in a transient role within your organisation. They're thinking, so well, I'm just here, I'll just be working on reception, but actually what I want to be is a, nuclear physicist or whatever. Career cushioning, they're working for you, but the chances are they're using your Wi-Fi and your paper to update their CV, have a look at the jobs on Indeed. So they're using you to pay them so they can find their next job. Now, through your great coaching, you should know about that person and what their aspirations are. And if they are looking for a different job or a different career, help them with it. But if they want to stay in the industry, so much help now is available through the apprenticeship schemes. So if you have got people who want to actually develop in their career, point them in the direction of the apprenticeship schemes. Actual wage, obviously, as it suggests, is people are just doing, well, you're only paying me minimum wage, so I'll just do the minimum. Resenteeism, people resenting that they're actually there. You can feel it sometimes. I went to the Ivy in Oxford once, thinking it's going to be a marvellous experience. And the lady who was the hostess just stood there and looked at me as if to say, what? Her job was to welcome me. It's not hard, is it? All you've got to do is, hi, how are you? She really resented, it was oozing from every pore of her body. She resented being there. Resenteeism, it's no good, get rid. And then coffee badging are the people who put their jacket on the back of the chair, get a cup of coffee on the desk, and then they go off. And it's just to say, I've arrived, I've checked in. I used to work with a guy who literally did that all day long, never saw him. Where's Watson? Oh, I don't know, but maybe he's gone to get... Just a bit of a clue to let you know that he has checked in, but he wasn't really there at all. There's a few things there. Recognise any of these in your teams? Have you been in any of those roles? And now as you're sitting there thinking, you're going, oh, maybe that's what Flossie's doing. She's career cushioning, bitch. Using my Wi-Fi, printing out her CV on my paper. Okay, so that's checking in with your team. Now, do you deliver radical hospitality? When you do have your vision and your values, at what stage are we sharing them with your potential employees? Are we sharing them before they even come and work with you? And as well, what is the process that you use for advertising for staff? Do you use Indeed? What do you use? Do you use any particular forums? Or is it just word of mouth or... Word of mouth? Yeah. Anybody use any automated systems at all? Or is it all through sort of word of mouth and somebody drops in their CV, that kind of thing? Indeed. Okay. I think what I see oftentimes, and I'm sure you may have been a victim of this, I'm not really sure. You apply for a job and you don't hear back. That really damages your reputation. It's a really small industry. So if anybody does bother to apply to you, just get back to them with a perfunctory note, even if it's just, thanks very much for applying. But make sure that vision and values is communicated at the application stage, at the interview stage. And then when it comes to day one, what are people expecting when they turn up on day one? What does that day one look like? So before they've arrived, do they know where to eat? Do they know where to park? Do they know what size uniform they need? All those sorts of things, the domestic things. Paul Ferris is talking tonight, and his book that he's written is called The Boy in the Shed. And he talks about when he went from Belfast to Newcastle United as an apprentice. And when he arrived, they weren't expecting him, and he just sat there for hours waiting for somebody to say, oh, hi, you're there. And then when he did actually get a kit, it was old and too big for him, and it smelt really bad. Now, I know I've worked in it. I've turned up at a business like that, and I've ended up wearing a stinky uniform, didn't fit me, that kind of thing. Small things like that make a big, big difference. Your people, when they know what good hospitality feels like, will know what it's like to then deliver it to your customers. So on day one, is there a really good welcome process? When I worked in a hotel many, many years ago, it actually started on my birthday. I arrived, they had a birthday cake there for me. What a lovely way to start. But not only did they have that, but I had 6 weeks of all the people I would be meeting, everything I would be doing, all of that was all laid out for me. So I knew exactly what I was going to be expecting. Radical hospitality, it was a 5-star new build hotel. We were having to deliver that 5-star quality service to the customers, but first we delivered it to our people. And then systems and processes. Any of you have group exercise classes that you need to get covered? How long does your group exercise supervisor spend getting class cover? Does it take up a disproportionate amount of time?
Yes,
Yeah?
Sometimes.
Yeah. It's the WhatsApp, isn't it? The group exercise supervisor is just on WhatsApp the whole time. There was one chap I remember, he was actually skiing. He was on a ski lift and somebody called him up and said, just to let you know, no one's turned up for body pump. I don't know what he was going to do on a ski lift in Courchevel, but apparently nobody had turned up for body pump. It was a massive problem. There's an app out there called Cover Me. And I'm not on commission at all, but I just think, oh my goodness, it is such a fantastic app that just allows you to manage your class cover. It takes away all that stress. Group X supervisors who are on, 10, 12, 15 hours a week are spending time. They're there watching Anton Deck on a Saturday night, drinking Prosecco, and it's like, oh, Flossie can't come in for Pilates tomorrow. Could you sort it out? It's like, damn, halfway through, I'm a bit, who knows what will happen tomorrow? Anyway, so use tech wherever you can. Cover Me is really inexpensive as well, and it just takes away so many hours of pain. But look at what your recruitment process is like. If you can automate some of that stuff and just send out automatic emails and move people through the process, do it, because it makes you look good to the applicant. It also takes the effort and the stress from your managers. The lesson is now ended. I thank you. Okay.